The Blackhawks had a 2-0 lead. Then they had a 3-2 loss. We'll talk about their loss to the Flyers in Philadelphia, and we'll talk a lot about Connor Bedard on today's CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Happy Saturday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks post-game podcast. I'm Jay Zawoski with Greg Boyson and Mario Tirabassi. Nate's here running the show as usual. Hawks lose 3-2 in overtime to the Philadelphia Flyers, a game they were leading 2-0, and just kind of choked it away in the third period. We can talk a lot about the choking, but this is a game they probably didn't deserve to win anyway. Petr Mrazek was absolutely standing on his head for the entire game and just couldn't make the big save when he had to. Not his fault. They take a penalty in overtime, and when that happens, you're pretty much toast. So there you have it.
You know how much they deserved to win this game?
Ooh.
25.8%.
That feels right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they got a point in overtime. You know, you say they choked away a lead in the third. When statistically, the third period was the best period they played. Tells you they had no business even having a 2-0 lead at that point. They probably should have lost that game 5-2 in regulation. So kudos to Petr Mrazek. Used his every tool in his tool belt to get 1 point for the Blackhawks today.
Yeah, hopefully
no
there's
tool belt for the team today, though.
Hopefully there's no hammer in that tool belt because he might try to go after some of his teammates.
Bunch of tools, but no tool belt.
Letting them down for that.
All right, you're giving me Murph flashbacks. Please stop. We should mention Petr Mrazek, by the way, the second star of the game. Your third star, Ristolainen, had an assist and 4 shots. I always panic when I have to say his name. Mrazek stopped 34 of 37 shots on the Flyers, and Michkov with the overtime winner. His one shot on goal for the game was the OT winner. So your 4-star nominees, Lukas Reichel, Pat Maroon, Craig Smith. Pick your fourth liner because they were without a doubt the best line on the ice for the Hawks today.
Yeah, far and away the best line that was going today, which is great. It's great to see those guys playing well. You love to see your fourth line playing really well. Not good when your fourth line is your best line.
Again.
By a significant margin.
Right.
Again.
Yeah, it's
fun when they have a good game every once in a while, but when your fourth line is your best offensive line night in, night out, you have a problem.
Yeah.
You have a problem. You have a team full of guys who are paid here to provide offense, not doing crap right now. Well, it's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Copy and paste.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I don't know what else there is to say, what else this team does to change things up, because they got the offense from the fourth line. You got a great goaltending game, and you did a really good job for about 45, 50 minutes of defending the Flyers and bending but not breaking. You say Michkov, his one shot on goal was the OT winner. He was a non-factor in this game up until overtime. He was shut down well and proper at 5v5. And you get out to the 2-0 lead. We saw some line changes off of the starting lineup roster, mixed things up. You had Dickinson with Donato and Anderson. You had Hall with Bedard and Teravainen. Like, it looked like, hey, we have a lead. We can have, like, a defensive line again. We can have a line that's built for just offense. Like, and then, boom, it just all comes crashing down. And it's just the defensive breakdowns today sunk this team, obviously. And it was uncharacteristic because for this season, the team's defensive structure has been pretty solid night in and night out. So I really don't know where you turn from here to improve upon this game.
I mean, I've been told this is a lost season. I've been told wins and losses don't matter. So can't call anybody up or you're a moron. That's what I was told all week. They could make a trade. Morgan Frost is available.
How did Morgan Frost do in this game?
He wasn't a huge factor in this game, that's for sure. But
okay.
I don't know. Something's got to give. Like you can I think the only thing that Luke hasn't tried is basically what happened in the third period. Is you put an offensive line as your top line, Hall, Bedard, Teravainen. Let that happen for 3 periods. Then you've got your your defensive specialist lines 2 and 3 basically, with Dickinson and Foligno. Even though Foligno was on the ice for all 3 goals against, we'll talk about him a little bit later in the show.
He's got a major problem there.
Yes, and your fourth line, which is getting very limited ice time, but doing a ton with the opportunities they're getting. So, I know a lot of people are going to say, move Lukas Reichel up. And I'm not totally opposed to that, but he has been so good in that role. It's almost making a change to make a change.
It's
but
a double-edged sword to say they're your best line, and then you should break them up.
Right. I just don't know. I'm on. I think I want to call up Nazar. Other people don't. Fine. Whatever.
Then call up Doc. Call up Slaggert. Call up somebody.
But
here's Cole Gutman.
You're not going to scratch Nick Foligno. You probably could justify it after this game.
I don't care anymore. What guy on this roster right now, outside of maybe, Vlasic and the fourth line, what guy has earned their playing time?
I think Bertuzzi had a good first 2 periods today.
He finally had a good game. Great.
Yeah.
Now we can go watch him do nothing for the next 3 games. Not saying scratch him, but who on this team, if you sit for 3 games to give Colton Dach a look, are you going to be upset about? Nobody.
Right.
Nobody.
I agree.
You have to change something. Okay? You start with the roster. Do something. Bring in a different player. Bring in someone from Rockford.
If you're so steadfast on not calling somebody up, then you look at trades.
Sure.
Trade something. If you don't want to trade anything away, then you go to the coaching staff. If you're giving Luke Richardson the entire season, what's the next step up? It's Kyle Davidson. You
have to start with a roster change. Give this team a different look. Give this team a shake-up. A young player that's going to be hungry and look like he gives a crap. Today, how easy was it for the Flyers to get to the front of the net all day today?
Not hard. That heat map is very hot.
Day. They were just no resistance to the front of the net. Flyers were getting to the front of the net all day. The Blackhawks were not interested when they had the puck.
Well, that's half of it is they never have the damn puck.
So
they don't have any sustained offensive shifts ever.
Somebody up here that at least is going to make it life difficult for the other team. Colton Dach is that guy. Okay, fine. You don't want to bring up Nazar. You want to let him dominate the AHL for a few more weeks. Fine. I'm okay with that. But you just can't keep rolling out the same lineup every night and all of a sudden expect something different to happen.
Exactly.
You can't.
Well, look,
because it's not going to change. It's going to be the same crap every game. So you start with the roster. You shake it up a little bit. You give them a different look. If it still doesn't work, there's your coaching answer. There's your answer. Give Luke Richardson different tools to work with. If it's the same result, okay, it's Luke Richardson's fault. Then you make that change. You start with bringing in somebody to change things up on the ice.
It seems very simple, but it is a refusal to do so, apparently, by the front office. And look, I went back this weekend. I was looking at what Kyle Davidson had to say entering training camp when he talked to us for the first time, talking about the offseason moves, talking about his mindset there. And he was asked, hey, are you afraid, you've got too many veterans here? What if a kid's ready and you can't call him up because you got too many veterans? He said, I'm not afraid to call anybody up if a young player's earned it. Then do it. Don't just say it. This is the oldest team in the NHL.
We're starting to have with Kyle Davidson, and I'll preface this saying I've liked most of the things he's done as far as the rebuild is concerned. But we are starting to enter Jeremy Colleton level of stubbornness out of Kyle Davidson.
That's it. Okay, it's not that bad. But yes, you are starting to enter his correct.
approaching that
the
spot.
stubbornness of refusing to make the adjustments that everyone is screaming to do.
And it's not just us. We have Pedion, who does no affiliation to Chicago, doesn't care about the Blackhawks. He's just the All-City hockey senior analyst. And he says, like, this team needs something. They look like they've stopped believing. They look like they need a shakeup. And, yeah, they beat the Florida Panthers. They basically got to run up and down the ice for 60 minutes against the Panthers and a goalie win again. Like, if it's not a goalie win, they're winless. That's basically how this season goes. And you can't do that to your goalies. You can't do that to your defense every night. It's not going to work. You need some sort of offensive spark. And it's almost like Kyle Davidson is playing like GM Simulator 2025, right? Where it's just like, oh, I'm just going to wait and let these guys really get good at Rockford and really, really over-marinate while the NHL team suffers and the players on the roster suffer and take loss after loss after loss, and they're looking around for help from somewhere, from the front office, from the coaching staff, from anybody, and it's crickets. And these guys that matter, Vlasic, Kaiser, Teravainen and Bertuzzi matter because they're here for 4 more years. Bedard, all these guys who are losing night after night after night. It's not a video game. It matters. It has a mental and physical impact when loss after loss after loss keeps happening. You have to do something to help this team. And I know there's people listening, people not in the comments saying, it's a rebuild. You knew they were going to lose. No. Kyle Davidson said at the end of last season, this can't happen again. We finished second worst and third worst. That can't happen again. He signed Bertuzzi and Teravainen, 2 of the top available free agents, brought in Smith and Maroon, 2 veteran helpers, veteran defenseman in Vlasic, another veteran defenseman in Martinez, and Brody. That's not a guy who's just tanking another year. This is not a tank year. It's not. It shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be.
It is right now, but it shouldn't be. So if that's the case, do something. No one is asking for playoffs. No one is asking to go out and abandon the rebuild for a quick fix, for a Band-Aid. Calling up Nazar is not a Band-Aid. Trading for somebody like Morgan Frost isn't a Band-Aid. It's getting someone here that can help the team now. And is Frank Nazar fully marinated? No, probably not. But guess what? It's okay. When you are in a rebuilding situation, which they're still in, you can live with mistakes from young players. And as we've learned since our pregame show, Scott Powers, who is as plugged in as anybody, said this was indeed not a rest, not an injury for Wyatt Kaiser, a healthy scratch because he made some poor puck decisions. Join the effing club. Join the club of poor puck decisions. Watch the third period.
Yep.
Who's going to play? It's crazy. It's just like, if I'm a player on this team, yes, I bear responsibility for not doing what I'm supposed to be doing all the time and not executing, but there's no help coming. No help coming. And it's really, really frustrating. It's got to be frustrating as hell.
Yeah, I mean, the team is supposed to be better than this, and it's not. So,
something has to change.
Yes, and it needs
The
to start
change
with
in
the
this
roster.
the change in this team is not going to come from what is in the locker room, because we are at the quarter mark of the season. We are at American Thanksgiving, which is historically a benchmark in the NHL for
You are what
you
you are.
are what you are. So what is in that locker room right now ain't it. You got to figure something out. It's either the coach, it's a trade, or it's a call-up. Something has to change.
And we talk about morale, right? And the fragility of young players. Wyatt Kaiser has played his damn ass off this season. He did it basically without a preseason, and he has one subpar game against the Florida Panthers, and he's in the press box?
I don't get
What?
it.
Are you kidding me?
We can
get
talk
it.
about that after the break
Yeah.
zone, but
I don't get it
I'm
anymore.
not ready to go full rage on that one for particular reasons, but we could talk about that.
All right, let's talk about that in a moment. We'll do that next on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. But if you were watching the game today, you were watching Chicago Sports Network, and we are sponsored by them. CHSN, the new home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and Sox. CHSN will broadcast more than 300 live games per year across the Hawks, Bulls, and Sox, and will feature a full lineup of original Chicago-focused sports content. They're also Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core. And they're bringing it to every corner of Chicago, across their 77 neighborhoods and beyond. At CHSN, Chicago comes first. Visit chsn.com for more info on how to watch the Bulls, Hawks, and Sox all season long.
And with the Black Friday sales event going on all month long at Ray Chevrolet, you can score doorbuster deals on your next vehicle without the door-busting stress. Head in today to shop their huge selection of new Chevy models with special Black Friday prices. Right now, take up to anywhere from $3,200 to $13,000 off MSRP on most new Chevy models, or shop over 125 of their vehicles priced under $20,000. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Visit our partner this November at their location on Route 12 in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. And if you've heard of Ray Chevrolet, you've also heard of Ray's Price Promise. They're guaranteed to make your next vehicle more affordable than ever with no price changing, no add-ons, and no hitting fees ever. That means the incredible prices we're talking about now, you can expect to see the very same when you shop Ray Chevy in-store or online. Shop the Black Friday sales event all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963, the last time Connor Bedard scored a goal. Together, let's drive.
All right, let's hit up any super chats we got, then we'll get into the Wyatt Kaiser conversation. Bragi says, we just have to win the puck battles and shoot more. Luke Richardson, probably. Yep, that's what we're going to hear post-game.
Probably, and he's still not wrong.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Still not
but
wrong.
This team has an aversion to doing that consistently.
All right. Here's
let's
why I'm
go
not
ahead.
ready to rage out and throw tables like one of my coworkers here
I didn't throw it. I flipped it.
about Wyatt
It
Kaiser.
was a nudge.
Now, if Wyatt Kaiser had a couple games where he's making questionable decisions and you want to take him out for that, I don't look at it per se as punishment. I look at it as, okay, this is a young player, still very young. We don't want him to get into bad habits. If you got a guy like TJ Brody who's been doing this for 20 years, you're not going to all of a sudden get him to change the way he plays. So maybe this is more of a, we need to pull you back to reset you here for a game so you don't fall into the rut of doing those same things every night, and then you can't get out of it. That's how I'm going to view it. Where it's a young player that can still be taught to get out of before they become tendencies. Instead of a habit, it becomes a tendency, and then it becomes just the way you play. You could save a guy at less than 50 NHL games as opposed to if a guy that's played 800 NHL games is doing the same thing.
Right.
So I don't have an issue with that if it's for today's game and then you get 2 or 3 days of practice before the next game and he's back out there. If you're going to sit him for 3-4 games, all right, then I'm going to ask what the hell's going on here. I don't have a problem with a teaching moment type scratch. What this appears to be, where he's played well, but he's doing some small things that we don't like, so it's time for him to maybe take a step back so he doesn't fall in love with making that same mistake over and over and over and over again. That's how I'm going to view it.
That's very logical and reasonable of you, and I hate it.
Why do I always have to be the logical one around here? I don't like that role.
No, you're probably right. But in the firestorm of what's happened over the last 10 days with Taylor Hall, with Bedard struggles, with not being able to score, with all the things going on.
The way that they're losing.
Yeah. And it's like, so Wyatt Kaiser's the guy that's got to sit out?
Well,
like,
I mean, that also, yeah, I mean, that's, the optics of it aren't great.
Yeah, the context.
But that just
is what-
shows me that Richardson doesn't care about optics. He just wants to do what he wants to do, which is not a bad thing.
No, that you want your coach to not respond to the fandom.
Right.
Yes.
Thank God, There's probably many times this year where we should be thankful that he hasn't.
Right. Sure.
But so I'm not going to lose my stuff over that move. Let's see what happens the next game. They lost today, so it's easy to put Kaiser back in. I'm sure they've got 3 days off. I'm sure they're gonna practice 2 out of those 3 days. You get them in there, and then you put him back out there, and you move on. And hopefully, whatever they were looking for him to correct is corrected, and this isn't an issue going forward.
Is that heat map ready to go, Nate? There it is. I mean, Petr Mrazek he's literally on fire, and I'm not using literally incorrectly. He's in flames.
I didn't need a heat map to know that the Flyers were all over the front of the net.
You just needed to watch.
The Blackhawks pretty much put a welcome mat in front of Petr Mrazek. It's like, come on in.
It's
live, laugh, love, right there, right in front of the crease.
Right in front. I mean, we were talking about it though. Like the Flyers weren't doing anything fancy. They would get the puck at the blue line or in the around the circles, and then get guys in front. Like, all right, let's just throw the puck towards the net.
3 or 4 of their high danger opportunities for the Flyers came directly off of mishandled pucks or just flat out turned over, passed to the Flyers. Like the 2-on-0 chance that they had that Mrazek made 2 saves on. That was just like, oh, whoops, coughed the puck up, going back the other way. Like it was sloppy at the beginning of the game. Credit to the team at the beginning of the game. They could have been down 4-0 5 minutes in, but Mrazek bailed them out. They settled down and eventually got going, which was great. It's just they don't know how, and it's not for a lack of not experiencing how to play with the lead. They've done it a number of times this season. They've blown most of them. It's not knowing how to do it. It's not being able to do it. And you had a 2-0 lead going into the third period, and it just is, you still didn't feel comfortable. There's no lead with this team that you can feel comfortable with because we've seen it for 21 games, how things can break down and snowball in the wrong direction. So it's extremely frustrating to have a goalie game like Mrazek did, have a response like you did early on in the game to be like, all right, they weathered the storm. You go out and you get a goal. You get 2 from your fourth line. Any game where you get Petr Mrazek playing the way that he did, saving some of the goals that he did tonight, and you get 2 goals out of your fourth line, there's no excuse to not come away with 2 points. Yeah,
you need to win that game, but when none of the other 3 lines are doing anything offensively, it's hard to win games.
Got another $2 super chat from Dead Hawk. Says Bedard 3 shots on goal in 5 games. Quote, but we tell him to shoot. Yep. And
so
then
he had 6 shot attempts in today's game. 6 shot attempts, 0 of them on net, except technically the one in the first period was off the post. So
off the post, off the goalie and out.
A shot that hit the goal doesn't count as on goal. But
he also had that backhander that was maybe grazed the post instead of the shoulder, but it was basically on net.
I mean, it was definitely a better offensive game for him, but you got to start seeing results. 6 shot attempts is great. None of them being on goal sucks. It's not good enough.
No,
get it on the net. Yeah. We saw it in the overtime. He takes the shot from the top of the circle that misses the net, and now you're going the other way, and you have to take a penalty.
Right.
Get the puck on net, damn it.
Well, and he also tried again to skate his way 1-on-3 through 3 defenders. It's just, I know what happened against Winnipeg. That one overtime game where Winnipeg was like,
sure, that's the one. That's the one out of 2,000 times.
That was the one time he went 1-on-3, and all 3 of them didn't, magnets, like your great idea with magnets, didn't converge on him.
Still think they need to do the magnets.
Yeah.
The Flyers had magnets in their jerseys.
Yeah,
sure did.
I mean, look, I don't know. Max has a comment too about Montgomery, Jim Montgomery, who's a free agent coach now. It's not going to happen.
He's not coming here.
I like what Petey said the other day on What Chaos. The right coach for this team is a teacher. That's not Montgomery. I really like Dave Haxtell for this job. Coach the young Seattle team to a playoffs in year 2. Sure. Okay. Nothing against. I'm not disagreeing, Max. Just I'm open. At this point, I'm open for anything. $5 chat from Jeff. Says with Montgomery fired in Boston and Richardson and the team falling on D with the 1-2-2, is it time for a change beyond the players? We've been having that conversation for a while.
It's not going to be Jim Montgomery. I get why he's a good coach. I'm a big Jim Montgomery fan. I think he got a bit of a raw deal in Boston. You want to talk about front offices that are stubborn and they think they're the smartest people in the room. You look at those guys. I think he got a raw deal there. He's going to get another job. It's not going to be in Chicago because Jim Montgomery can sit home, get paid by the Bruins, and wait out for the perfect job for him to come.
Wait for that contender.
Yeah.
That's
wait for John Cooper to
underperforming.
be boosted to president in Tampa Bay and go take that job.
Yeah.
Right.
Or wait till the Predators fire Andrew Brunette, which can't be that far from now, and take that job and cancel a U2 concert and get them in the playoffs. He's not going to take the Blackhawks job. If he did, I'd be ecstatic.
I'd be
It's just not going to happen.
The only way it happens is if the Hawks say, "Here is basically a blank check. We're making you the highest paid coach in hockey."
They're not at the. They're not at the
no.
point
Or
where
it's
that
not.
is like.
It's not.
Here's something that I feel like is the likely scenario, in my opinion, based off of how I view how this organization operates. If they are to get rid of Luke Richardson within the season, they're not hiring somebody out from outside.
No, it'll be Kevin
It's going to be
Dean or-
Derek King or
yeah.
it's going to be Kevin Dean. Like, it's going to be an interim coach that's already on staff. If they don't get rid of the entire staff, which I don't think that they're going to do, but if it's not Luke Richardson, it's somebody that's already here. Maybe it's Anders Sorensen coming up. I don't know. But if you're so stubborn about not bringing up the players from Rockford, why would you take the person that's in charge of their development away from
I don't
them?
know. You've done it twice in the last 5 years. You brought up Colleton. You brought, hey, Derek King Part 2. I want it just to watch everybody lose their minds.
Yeah.
Derek King Part 2.
Hackstall, Montgomery, wait out for John Cooper, whatever. Like,
Todd McClellan is another.
McClellan, as PD mentioned when he was with us. Like, I don't see that happening. It feels like if they are making a change at head coach, they're not going for an outside hire in season. If it happens in the off season, if they don't pick up Richardson's option for next year in the off season, then yeah, maybe you go outside and find somebody else. But I just don't see them hiring somebody in season if they make a change.
No, and I really believe in things can change. NHL seasons are fluid. Opinions change. My opinions have changed a lot in the last couple of weeks because
context changes opinions.
Because we're seeing the same things.
You're supposed to dig your heels in.
No, I don't live my life that way. But if I do think Luke Richardson is going to get the rest of the season to figure this out. That's why I think the roster shakeup has to be done first. Give him a couple of different pieces, a couple of different looks, and then if it's still the same old thing every night, even with different players, then you know it is a coaching thing, not a roster thing.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
still think he's going to get the rest of the year because this year was never supposed to be about Stanley Cup playoffs.
But it wasn't supposed to be this.
No, it's not.
No.
But that's why, okay, maybe Kyle Davis says, maybe I didn't give you a really good roster. Here's Colton Dock for a few games. Let's see if that changes something. Here's Frank Nazar. Let's see if that lights a spark. And if it doesn't work, then you know, okay, it's not the
Right.
roster. I've given you plenty of different options, and you're giving me the same result. It's time to move on and see what we can get a different voice in here. That's how you come to that conclusion.
Jimmy N in the chat says, "Can we just say Torts outcoached Luke? He made adjustments that worked. Yes, Luke is a good guy, but maybe he lacks the respect of his team. Why else do they not go to the net and not shoot the puck?"
Well, Torts also has a 20-year head start on Luke Richardson.
Sure, but I mean,
it's not. You're not wrong.
I would like though.
Coaching, going
It's
to the
very
front of the
weird.
net is not a coaching thing. That is a
It's a
mentality.
That's a
mental-
mentality
Yes,
thing.
it's a
That's a
yes.
mentality.
It's nothing to do with coaching. You don't need to. If you're in the NHL, you should not need your head coach to tell you to go to the front of the damn net.
Again.
That should be in your head as instinct.
You'll
Yes.
hear it on every single broadcast of every single NHL game, whether a team is or is not doing it, about going to the net. You'll hear it from every head coach. You'll hear it from every player. It is one of the things that if they had like this is a hockey doctrine, it would be in the first few chapters of hockey doctrine of going to the front of the net is the most effective way and simplest way to try and score in this league.
You talk
it comes
about
down to a mentality and a willingness to do it.
You talk about the Philly adjustments. That was their adjustment.
Yeah.
Look at that heat map again. Set Petr Mrazek on fire with that heat map.
It's pretty easy to make an adjustment to go to the front of the net when nobody is preventing you from doing it.
Well, let's do that next. We'll do that next. We got to hit the break zone one last time, And then we're all yours for the final half hour right here on CHGO Blackhawks. But if you're looking for a perfect way to elevate your day, at Verilife Dispensary, they have everything you need, from premium cannabis products to expert advice. Whether you're new to cannabis or a connoisseur, their knowledgeable bud tenders are here to help. With 8 convenient locations across Illinois, discovering your perfect experience has never been easier, and Verilife proudly offers a price match guarantee, ensuring you get the best value by matching local competitors' prices on eligible products. So don't miss out on their latest deals and exclusive offers only at Verilife Cannabis stores or online at verilife.com. Mention the code CHGO25 in store and receive 25% off one regular priced item. Restrictions apply.
And hey, if you got scuff marks in your floors from tossing over your end tables, then why not get new ones with our friends over at Empire? With Empire today, you get to shop at home convenience for the right products for your needs, and you get quick and professional installation and a low price guarantee. Empire today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, or speed. So competitors will advertise low-quality products that Empire simply will not carry. And because Empire is carrying the highest quality products, they're not promising the lowest prices, because anyone who is doing that is putting low-quality flooring in your home that they wouldn't even put in theirs. How dare them? The great thing about Empire is that they have the virtual floor designer, which is a great way to see how new floors will look in any space of your home, and it's super easy. Just take a picture of the space that you want new floors in and instantly see how the wide variety of options of new floors will look in your room. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners of this wonderful podcast, wonderful listeners, wonderful podcast, they can receive a $350 off discount when you use the code CHGO. Restrictions do apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details.
All right, so Deadhawk with a good comment kind of summarizing. Players cannot do things for 3 reasons. 1, they are unwilling. 2, they don't know how. And 3, the system won't let them. 2.5 of these things are coaching problems. Yes, I agree with you. However, they do know how, and Kyle and Luke Richardson's system is not preventing them from going to the net.
Yeah, if you're saying the 1-2-2 prevents teams from going to the front of the net, teams that run that, why would Luke Richardson run that system and then continuously say to his team, presumably, because we're not in those meetings, but to us in the media, whenever asked about what do you expect from these guys, how do you want them to play, it is to shoot and go to the front of the net for screens and rebounds. It's not that we're saying that they should do this and they're not being told to do that. It is from his mouth that they are being told to do that. So,
and they say it too.
And the players say it too.
Yes.
So there is a disconnect between what is being said and what is being preached. And what is being done. Is it a talent thing? Is this team not talented enough to play that way? I wouldn't think so. Tyler Bertuzzi's a guy that plays around the net. Pat Maroon's a guy that can play around the net. Those are guys that are new here coming to do it. Ryan Donato, Joey Anderson, those are guys that are willing to do that. Jason Dickinson's willing to do that offensively. They have enough guys that have that in their game. So I don't know if it's you got to get some guys that don't have that in their game to have that mentality to drive to the net more. You got to have Taylor Hall drive to the net more. Do you got to have Tavo drive to the net more? Does Bedard have to drive to the net more?
He was there a couple times today.
Yeah, and early on in this season, he was going to the center of the ice to try and create offense and was getting shut down most times, but he was trying. I don't know where you look up and down this roster and see the change, and it's hard to. You can't open up a guy's head and change his mentality. Like you either as a player have to have it or you don't.
Well, as we've discussed about Bertuzzi a lot this year, the reason he hasn't been effective at 5-on-5 because he's a guy who makes his hay in front of the net, and the reason the heat maps are so light in front of the opponent's net for the Hawks is they never, ever, ever have the puck.
Yeah.
They never have the puck. And the few times they have, possession of the puck in the offensive zone, they're ringing it around the boards. They're making an extra pass. They're like, it's just watch the. It's what we talked about the other day, 2 weeks ago with Petey. Watch the Dallas Stars, who are loaded with talent. Just every opportunity they have on that traffic.
You don't even have to watch the Stars. Just rewatch today's game and watch the Flyers. Who doesn't have the talent that the Stars have? It's not about talent. It's about mentality. Get puck, shoot puck.
Well, first you have to get puck.
Well, that's the problem. They're not getting puck.
Step one, get puck.
When they do get the puck, that line's been on the ice for 58 seconds, and they need to get off the ice, and so they dump it in, and it's quickly out again.
Step three.
So I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this goes back to line construction. Because you don't have 3 lines with enough talent to hold the puck. So, in my mind, what you want to do is, if you don't have 4 that can hold the puck,
give me 1.
You maybe have 1 with your 4th line. They can that line at least create somehow with Pat Maroon creates off the rush all the time because he's got good hands and can put the puck on the tape for what he lacks in speed. Give me a first line that can control the puck. I don't know what it is.
Who's that on this team?
I don't know. Now? And maybe, just maybe, that he will finally try Bertuzzi, Bedard, and Teravainen. Maybe.
I don't know if that's the line that does it, but give it a shot.
And we've been saying forever the first line has looked the best when it's been Foligno, Bedard, and Teravainen.
Yeah.
Go back to it.
If you're throwing stuff against the wall, throw the one thing you haven't thrown against the wall.
Well, and
try it.
Also, I don't want to hear about the value of Nick Foligno's defense when he's on the ice for all 3 goals against today, and probably to blame for 2 of them.
Yeah, he was definitely, in my eyes, he was to blame for the first goal. Vlasic went to go play the shooter. Couturier comes right down the middle, and he's just standing there watching him. That's Foligno's ice. Yes. And then the overtime goal, just stand there and watch Michkov skate by you before you realize, crap, that's my guy. Come on, you talk a big game, play it.
Yep.
No awareness from your captain, your veteran, your leader, your guy that loves to tell other people to play the right way, and he's out there just no awareness on 2 of the 3 goals.
Well, that's another PD breakdown we had. That he did like a power play goal against, where Foligno didn't come down in time and support Seth Jones on a defensive play. Like, that's becoming a trend. And I'm not trying to pick on Nick Foligno. I'm not trying to pick on any individual player, but like, that's it. You know what to do. It's not a complicated system. I don't know, and I don't know if it's these guys trying to get something going. So maybe they're cheating a little bit offensively, so they're leaning one way or another, so they get caught and then they can't get back. I don't know what it is. We've seen a lot of that sort of stuff where, a puck's coming along the boards and they're taking a look and it hops over their stick, like just that focus. The focus that we only seem to see when they're playing against the best competition, like they did against Florida, because they know they have to be as close to perfect as they can.
They should be on getting ready for a hot streak because the schedule's getting tough.
That's true.
You got the Stars, you got the Wild, you got the Maple Leafs coming. The Bruins are on the schedule, so
that's a win.
6-game win streak coming up.
That's one of the most perplexing things is, like, you can play that way against the toughest teams. Like, why are you not thinking that every game, I know it's hard to sustain that play. I understand that. But you have to go in and say, like, it's the Panthers. We got to be on our game. Yeah, you're last place in the NHL. Every game is like, it's this team. We got to be on our game to have a chance. Like, there's no team in this league that this team should face and be like, oof, all right, I can breathe. You don't have that. You don't have that luxury. Team. It's not the Sharks. Nope. It's not the Ducks.
Nope.
It's probably not Nashville, even though for the moment you're tied with them for last.
Nope, you're ahead of them by a point. Go lose your point.
in points. But you got that. That's right. They got the OT point. All right. Well, still, there still is no team that that the Blackhawks should be able to say, like, we can take our foot off the pedal. Like you have to approach every game like you're playing the Jets or the Stars or the Panthers, because each team to you is that team.
Yes,
they've
accurate.
They've played their best hockey against the best competition, which is another frustrating thing about watching this team every day, is it's there. We've seen it.
That's what we said. I know you were at the United Center. It's basically how we started our show against the Panthers, saying this is why we get so frustrated, because this game is in there for them.
We've seen it every time. Like, when they win, we've seen it. They've beaten both teams from the Stanley Cup final this year.
Yeah.
They took the Jets to the very limit. They're the best team in the league right now. They've lost twice to the Stars, but they were right there. Both of those games were winnable. They play their best hockey against the best teams, and then you blow third period leads to the Ducks. You blow third period leads to the Flyers. I don't know. It's just
this team
there's so many things wrong right now that you just can't pinpoint and say this is the problem. Let's fix it. So because of that, again, it goes back to start with a roster change and see where that gets you. You got to start plugging the little holes to see which one is the one that's the most dangerous right now. There's too many problems. You got to tackle them one at a time.
I'm not going to say anything.
Right. Plug those holes.
You talked about
Grow up.
the possession.
What? What could I possibly mean?
You talked about the possession aspect of things. Can't shoot the puck if you don't have it, right? Here's an interesting note. This is from Ben Pope on his Blue Sky account. The Blackhawks have had just one power play opportunity in 5 straight games. That is a franchise record, and it is the longest
How did he look
streak.
that up?
Huh?
How did he look that up?
I don't know.
That's a lot of research.
It's a franchise record and the longest such streak by any NHL team since 2019.
Well, I asked Luke Richardson that very question yesterday about how do you get more power plays. And he said, well, besides having the puck more, when we have the puck, we need to, keep the feet moving, or you need to be stronger on your stick and get in those one-on-one battles, because that's when, the sticks on the opposer come up laterally, and you get a penalty. I mean, you're losing every stick battle, every one-on-one battle easily.
Yep.
And you don't have the puck, you're not going to get penalties.
And it's crazy that one penalty that they had in this game was drawn by Tyler Bertuzzi like 2 minutes into the game.
Well, it was the same thing with the Panthers. They got the game, that penalty in the first 2 minutes and scored. Then they didn't get another power play the rest of the night.
All right, we're going to hear from Luke here in a second. We've got a couple super chats I want to get to. Before we do that, Broggy, once again, thanks again, buddy, says, do you guys notice any change in energy between practices and games with this team? Is there any mentality differences between the two?
Not really. Practices are kind of.
I mean,
feel the
they're not.
same.
They're not practicing like a team that's in last place.
Right. I mean,
They're not taking the ice and hanging their heads and being like,
they're loose. They've got good energy at practice.
This crap again.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're
And the drills make sense when there have been games where the effort's in question. The next practice or two has usually been more intense.
high intensity. Yeah.
They usually will take the whole roster, line them up right, 2-3 feet into the blue line, and then just say, go drill each other, just shifts. And they're just battling in close.
Yeah.
That they've done that a lot. But
Practices are
there's
fine.
nothing to say that their practices look like you don't step away from a practice and be like, what was that? What is this team even doing? Like,
No. They're all
not that way.
Des Bryants at practice.
well, they're all very loud at hitting
No,
the
not
boards,
Des Bryant.
though.
Des White. Sorry, I got my
Yeah,
Des.
I was gonna
got my
say,
Des
Des
is
Bryant.
wrong.
He was
Des White.
He's a good football player.
They're all Des
He
Whites
caught that
at
ball.
practice. Our older listeners will
There you
get
go.
that
Des
reference.
White. Oof, that's a deep cut.
Greatest practice player
That's a
ever.
good one.
And Michael Evans says, thoughts on Tom McClellan for a Luke replacement. DJ brought up his name, and Petey was saying he'd be great, and I kind of agree.
Sure. I wouldn't hate it.
I still don't foresee it happening, but sure.
Maybe in the summer. But, he's not coming in December.
Is McClellan currently being paid to not coach?
Probably. He's been fired so many times. He's
Yeah.
probably been paid by multiple teams.
Maybe.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, he's a guy he's another one of those guys that has a successful coaching record, but also has that track record of, I'm going to come in, it's going to be really good for like 2 years, and then eventually you can't wait to see me leave.
Maybe.
I'll take the really good 2 years.
But
though.
Maybe he is that coach that
Gets them to where...
gets him to be like,
bridge.
oh, this team flirts with a playoff spot
Yeah.
in 2 years, and then here's John Cooper. I don't know.
He's
Who
got the
knows?
experience.
Who the hell knows at this point?
He's seen it all. He knows how to. He's coached different types of teams.
Mm-hmm.
He's coached superstars. He was Connor McDavid's coach for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, if you make that change, I'm not mad at it. I'm not going to be upset with it. I don't see that happening until the end of the season. But things can change.
I would just say if we go 2-3 more weeks like this, They can't just wait. You can't. Like, I'm sorry.
You can't wait now. You need to make a roster change now. You need to make a roster change 3 games ago.
Well, yes. And
that's to me, that's the pecking order.
Yeah.
Roster, okay, that didn't change.
That didn't take either.
Coach,
now what?
Then it's coach.
Yep. Would like to hear from Kyle Davidson where we can all talk to him and pepper him with questions. But
I think we just need to start asking every day.
We'll see.
We'll beat Ben in the submission until he finally gives us an interview.
All right, let's hear from Luke Richardson. No members of the Blackhawks beat are in Philly, so this is going to be all new to us. So let's fire it up, courtesy of the Blackhawks.
From your perspective, where did things sort of get off track in the third period?
Well, I think we just spent too much time in our D zone, really most of the game, and our goalie was great all game, but just a couple breakdowns on faceoffs and in the D zone, and just a little bit of panic in our game when we get the puck in the D zone and we're just not making plays. We're just kind of flipping it out, not getting through that neutral zone. So really, that leads to more D zone coverage.
When you gave up the first goal there in the third period, could you sense the bench sort of sag a little bit?
No, I thought Pat Maroon was great. He stood up and said, we're going to win this game. And, I think the guys had a couple good shifts there. But then, at the end, we had a couple, D-zone face-offs again where we just can't ice the puck. We got to make a play and be strong and use our feet and get out of trouble. And, we would have been maybe a little bit more settled going into overtime, but unfortunately we got a tough bounce there and got onto the PK, which is a tough one going 4-on-3.
First 2 periods, you end 40 up 2, but did you feel like there was more there you left on the table maybe?
We had some chances. At times when we had O-zone, we were good, but I still think in the first 2 periods we gave up too many prime chances to them that our goalie really saved our backsides there and kept it 2-0. So we really needed to dig in and get him those 2 points tonight, and unfortunately we only got him the 1.
Pat was in there before. He talked about the need to play 60 full minutes. You guys don't feel like, do you feel like you haven't quite gotten there yet?
We did that last game against a Florida team, and I think you're on your toes. You're heightened with a team like that, the Stanley Cup champions coming in, and I don't think we took Philly lightly. I think we just thought the game maybe would just continue to go as planned, and we just can't leave all the work up to our goaltender. We have to take some burden off of him and work a little harder and within that 60 minutes to have more of a complete game like you're saying.
Looking at the positives, Peter played a really good game. Pat scores his first goal in almost a full year, and Lukas gets his first in 11. Are there good things you can take out of this? Yeah,
I thought that line was excellent tonight. We needed everybody to follow suit on them. They just played it simple, straight ahead, hard, fast hockey, and I think we complicated our own games, I think, early in the game with some fancy back passes and turnovers, which led to really good chances for them. So you know what? I know they didn't score on them because their goalie played great, but it gives them life for later in the game that they're going to create chances at some point in time. So we got to make sure that we don't give teams things for free, make them work extremely hard and a lot harder than we did tonight. And they got some good plays and good bounces on their goals at times, but it comes from a result of us. Whether it's not getting through the neutral zone or not making a play and icing the puck, it's just too much defending.
No, Nate, we wanted the Luke Richardson from the prior 20-some games. Sorry.
Yeah, a different one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
I mean, it's the same thing over and over, but that's what happens when the team plays the same way.
Not having anyone from the local beat is a factor in that.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get any...
Yeah.
Pointed questions, but still.
There will be a better Luke Richardson sound Monday after practice, because then we can ask him about Kaiser. We can ask him more specific things.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Sure will.
Can't wait.
Nice little picture of Michkov and Bedard meeting each other after the game.
Cool.
That's nice.
I'm going to read...
Did Matvei Michkov have anything to say after the game, Jay?
He did. This is from our colleague Charlie O'Connor from PHLY. Michkov, on his early NHL career, knack for clutch goals. Quote, "There's not many moments you're going to get, so when you get the moment, you have to be cold-blooded and finish it."
It's a good mentality. Yeah. And he did.
He sure did. After being shut down the entire game,
well,
he gets his big opportunity in
also
overtime
helps
and
when
takes advantage.
When the other team's veteran captain just lets you skate right by and get a wide open shot. No, easy to score those goals when no one's trying to stop you.
Yeah.
I feel like without researching it, because why would you before you say a stat, feels like the percentage of overtime power plays that get converted has to be very high.
Let's take a look.
4-on-3.
A 4-on-3 has got to be the easiest situation to score on.
Yeah.
Maybe even more than a 5-on-3.
Maybe
Because you
less
don't
guys
talk
on the
yourself
ice.
out of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's that's like, I know we were hard on Foligno for losing Michkov there, but like it
Yeah.
really is just a matter of holding
I feel
on,
like I'm
hoping you
more
hold on long
shocked.
enough.
I feel like I'm more shocked when an overtime power play is killed.
Yes.
Do you have a stat? You looked like you were looking it
That doesn't make sense.
up.
I'm looking. I'm looking.
Did you get an
guys,
AI answer?
You guys keep chatting. Yeah, I did, and it makes zero sense.
Those are always the best. Yeah, it's look, just same thing with Luke. It's like the same show after show, and I would love to have a different show. I would love to have a different feeling after a show. I would love to have a different feeling when I walk in this door before a game, of like,
Yeah.
please,
Mhm.
like it's
It's been different the last two seasons. The last two seasons was just like, when they're playing a game, playing a team that is better than them, you know what to expect, and then you get surprised if they play well. If they play bad, you're like, that's what you expect. But this team should be playing so much better than they are. So with the way things have been going this season, it's just like there's no game in which you feel confident. And so even after the Panthers game, we were walking in there being like, well, they're going to get canned. And then Greg was, had all the confidence in the world in his prediction that they were going to guarantee a win. They come away with the win and you're shocked. But even coming off of that win, there's no confidence that they're going to carry that over into this game against a team that's not the Panthers in the Philadelphia Flyers.
well, maybe there was. Maybe that's why they played like they're the Harlem Globetrotters on ice that just can't complete a pass.
I don't know.
Because they did seem to stray from the system that got them the win against Florida, and they like, oh well, this is just Philly. We got this one in the bag.
Yeah.
It's-
Again, there's no team in which they should feel that way.
None, zero, not
All
even
I
the
can
Wolves.
find about overtime power plays, and I'll research this more when we're not on the air, but there were 29 power play goals in overtime all of last season. That doesn't sound like a lot. In the last season, 11.9% of all overtime goals were power play goals. So probably not as many.
but
So there were
I'm-
29 power play overtime goals scored all year,
Uh-huh.
which equated to
11%.
12% of all overtime goals.
right, okay.
So they have to find out how many overtime.
Games
or were
yeah,
based-
I'm looking for overtime power play conversion rate.
Yeah, I can't.
I'll find it. I'll find
it's
it.
somewhere. It's on one of
I don't
want
want to bring up a stat and then at the end of a show and then derail everything, but
And if Mario doesn't mention it on Monday, we'll know that the conversion rate was very low.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, I couldn't find it. No
Never
idea.
mind, never
I'm
mind.
sure
Who
I'm
knows
right.
how
I
to
just-
calculate that?
I couldn't
don't
find
know.
it, but I'm sure I'm right.
Source, trust me, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, do us a favor. I've not asked for likes yet. We have over 300 people watching and not over 300 people liking, so that math is not mathing. Let's not treat the like button like shot attempts for the Blackhawks here, okay? Let's hit it. Let's pepper it. Let's do it a lot. Get some pressure in front of the goalie and hit that like button. We would appreciate that big time. We got some stuff to pay off your 4 stars of the game. That ready to go, Nate? Are we ready to declare a winner?
We are ready.
All right, the nominees today were the 4th line. It was Lukas Reichel with a goal, an assist, 5 shots and 6 shot attempts. Pat Maroon, a goal, assist, 1 shot and 3 shot attempts. And Craig Smith with an assist and 2 shots. Who is the winner? There he is.
There
Good
he
old number
is.
73.
Landslide victory.
Holly's doing a dance over there in England.
He was awesome in this game.
He was great. Best game he's had all season.
One of the best.
And noticeable, aggressive, playing the game that everybody else in this team should be doing too.
Yes.
Skating north-south, going to the net. And right before that goal, you pointed out, and then they showed it on the broadcast, that little stick lift
Yeah, in
of Sanheim
Sanheim.
as
Yep.
he was skating by, that allowed that pass to go through because Pat Maroon said that he was originally going to try and get it even further across the ice to Smith, and then he saw Reichel get open and then changed it. And great job by Lukas Reichel. The way he's played much of this season is very encouraging. I know the points aren't spectacular, but again, he's on the fourth line, even though they've been their best line most of the year. So he's getting fourth line minutes, but just leave that line alone and keep it going.
Just for
Maybe play it 3 or 4 more times.
just for
again.
conversation's sake, any guesses on who had the least amount of ice time for the Blackhawks today?
I think I know this because I was looking it up early,
seems
but
like
I'm
it
sorry,
would-
it's the second least by 1 second
out of forwards,
I'm gonna say Lukas Reichel.
out of everyone.
I think Tyler Bertuzzi was
Second least.
Lukas Reichel played 12:54, 1 second more than Craig Smith, who played 12:53. That's a team low,
It
12:53.
was an important 1 second.
Bertuzzi played 14 minutes.
well when you don't play on the PK and you don't
You only
you
get
only
one
get one
play.
power play, your ice time's going to go down.
I mean, yeah.
How many
it's-
shifts?
It's the fourth line, so your
15 shifts.
your percentage of shifts and ice time is going to be skewed away from the fourth line, but darn if they didn't make the most of their minutes tonight. And maybe that's part of what is helping Reichel, is that he knows I'm not getting 18, 19 minutes of ice time. I'm getting 12, maybe 13 minutes of ice time, so I don't have any space to waste it. I have to make the most of it to be effective for myself, for my team, and to keep my spot, in the roster and everything. And if that's a mentality thing that they've done and shifted that in him, it seems to be working. Again, I go back to, you want to reward a guy like Reichel for playing the way that he is, but you also, it's really hard to break up that line because of how effective it has been, given the fact that basically every other combination that you've tried in the first, second, or third lines, most of them haven't worked, aside from Jason Dickinson and whoever's playing with him on the third line.
All right, ready for Who's Your Hawk?
Sure.
I sure am.
We should have given you Bedard like you wanted.
Nope.
But there it is. Craig Smith, another highly overrated Wisconsin Badger, gets 5 points. Alex Vlasic, the new Seth Jones, a solid 4.5 points. And then Teuvo Teravainen, 2 points. Jay is no longer the leader. Mario has eclipsed him
Feels good to
by
have
half a
that
point.
half-point lead.
And
Big old half point.
I'm chipping away, trying to get back into this. I've gained like 5 points in the last 2 games. That's
Marathon,
pretty
not
good.
a sprint.
So
I won the sprint today.
Long way to go.
It is good. This is a solid indicator, though, that our scoring system works. That your scoring system works.
Yeah,
To be fair,
yeah.
you created it,
Yeah,
and it's
keeps it
everyone's
interesting.
close. Everyone's within striking distance. This is a way to do it. Good
I
job.
have a half-point lead, but I've won the last 3. So if we were going by straight wins, I'd be leaving you guys in the dust.
Doesn't matter.
I
It's a
will. You
marathon,
know what?
not a
I
sprint.
will.
You
I
just
will
said it.
look at those numbers and see who has won. Because I'm sure if it was
No,
individual
let
wins,
it be another stat that I say without looking it up.
I'm sure if I did that math, I'd have no chance. I'd be done. So yes,
That's all right.
rotisserie stats are better, and rotisserie chicken.
I'm
is
the
better.
quarter mark champion.
There you go.
Hooray.
Congratulations.
I'm gonna hang a banner.
We'll get the Predators working on that banner for you.
All right, we're gonna be off tomorrow. Are we off Monday too?
Yes.
We are off Monday.
2
We
days
got the
off
next
in a
2 days.
row.
2 days
Ooh.
off in a row. Is this the off season?
Seriously. All right, we'll be
Well,
back
then we
Tuesday.
have Tuesday. We have Wednesday game night,
Friday game,
Black Friday afternoon game. So
and then
I won't mind having Monday off if we're going to be working Wednesday night, have Thanksgiving obligations, and then doing a game Friday
Yeah.
afternoon. I'll be okay with Monday.
job-
Bring some leftovers.
this job
in.
is preventing me from going to places I don't want to go. So I love it. Love this job for many, many reasons.
Yes, and we love you for many, many reasons. If you're watching, especially those of you that are diehards, if you want to become a diehard, scan that QR code right there on your screen.
Nice.
If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button, by the way. Or go to allchgo.com to learn more. You're going to get a free shirt or hat upon sign up, or $35 off a hoodie. 20% off all of our merch, takeovers, events, all that great stuff. Access to all of our great written content. Mario published yesterday or today, the Oliver Moore.
That was yesterday.
Yesterday. One-on-one with Oliver Moore. Good stuff. Check that out if you're a diehard. Morning Chirps will be out tomorrow.
More discussions with Blackhawks prospects coming your way. Multiple conversations I've had with guys. It's fun.
Get Nazar and Doc on before they get called up.
That's Greg's beat.
Got 2 months to do that,
they're
probably.
not- We were supposed to have Colton Doc last week, but it didn't happen.
Bailed on
So I'm going
us.
to get those guys on the show.
Tuesday sounds good.
Working on it.
Come on, Ice Hogs, do it. All right, thanks, everybody. We love you. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button on your way out. We'll talk to you Tuesday at 2:30 on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.